Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Teacup for One presidential movie marathon. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and welcome back. We're still talking about presidents. Now, this is a particularly exciting week because this is the first time we're really getting into a film that's focused on one president, like one real life president. So when we started this marathon 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, it was Lee Daniels as the Butler. That gave us a ton of presidents. We had so many presidents, and all of them were played by like stunt casts, like different A-list actors from the early 2010s, and it was a very good film. It was also just very entertaining. Yeah, and we got to see John Cusack play Nixon, but we'll get into that later. And then last week we were talking about Aaron Sorkin's The American President. So that was more about like a fictional president falling in love, and the question of, whoa, can you separate your personal life from your professional life when you have to run the country? The answer, I think, was yes. Who knows? But anyway, this week we were getting into like some cold, hard-hitting historical drama or historical fiction. Who's to say? Tonight we're talking about Frost Nixon. So that almost rhymed, fiction and Nixon. That's funny. Yeah, so Frost Nixon, a little bit about Frost Nixon. This is a film from, hold on, let me pull up my notes, aka the Wikipedia page. There we go. This is a film from 2008. It is directed by Ron Howard, aka the kid from the Andy Griffith Show, as well as Happy Days. And yeah, it's based on the play by Peter Morgan, who evidently is the same guy I've mentioned in previous episodes, who's just kind of built his career over the last decade and a half on writing stuff about the royal family. So Peter Morgan is the guy who wrote The Queen with Helen Mirren. He also did The Sessions, which was a stage play also about the Queen, also starring Helen Mirren, and The Crown, which is probably what he's best known for. And we all know what The Crown is. So yeah, I had seen this film once previously. I think I got it in a discount. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with my story of my history with this movie, but yeah, I found this movie in a discount bin on like Boxing Day, probably in 2010. And yeah, I remember distinctly liking it the first time I watched it. I was excited to revisit it, but it just made so much sense that this was another piece from Peter Morgan. So I'm excited to dive into that. But let's see who we have here joining us in the chat. Looks like we have the usual feline suspects. We got my cat, Sabrina. She didn't watch this movie because she didn't think she would like it. Sabrina, I feel like you'd enjoy this movie. I think you'd appreciate it. Eliza would not. Eliza is still holding out for that cat marathon. There we are. And my mom said she was never a fan of Nixon, so she didn't watch the movie. Nixon was before my time. I don't know how I would have felt about him if I was around when he was in office. Actually, I'm fairly certain I do know how I would feel about him. But it's interesting to look back when it's not someone whose decisions can affect your day-to-day life. But anyway, let's see who we have joining us today. Let's bring in our first guest for this evening. Oh, who's it going to be? It's Lisa, everybody. Hi, Lisa.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. Lisa, why didn't you burn the tapes?
Sentimental reasons. Can I just say I never understood the Watergate scandal?
I still don't. I've been watching videos the last 2 days, and I found I think it was a Vanity Fair article that spelled out what I just needed to see, which was that we don't know what they were doing. I thought that I was trying to find the concise answer of like what was the actual goal, or what were they doing when they broke into Watergate? Seemingly, we don't know exactly.
Well, is it breaking it? I thought they were just recording the Democratic convention and they weren't supposed to.
I think they broke into the headquarters and were like taking pictures of documents and wiretapping so that they could get audio. But as for the end game, I don't think I think we can assume what it was, but I don't think we know. But
I have no idea. I think Vince, when he arrives, will let us know.
Let's find out. Yeah. Vince, why didn't you burn the tapes?
I just love the sound of my voice too damn much.
Good.
I don't know what they were looking for, but I do know it was Forrest Gump who made the phone call.
Okay. Hold on. What was he charged with?
Forrest?
No.
Oh.
What's the conspiracy here? Was he just like, did he just hire a bunch of people to record DNC stuff?
I believe, and I am likely wrong. Vince does probably know more than the rest of us, but
No.
yeah, no. So
You don't?
No, look, I know he was charged with being a real jerk. I know that.
Oh my god, you're supposed to be the political nerd here. I don't understand.
I'm the teacup for one political pundit.
yes,
Yeah.
Oh, we got big problems here.
Correspondent.
yes, you're the political correspondent. We don't have an American on the show tonight, Vince.
Oh
I
my
know. Where's Jeanette?
He's at Halloween Horror Nights.
She probably doesn't know the Watergate scandal either, to be honest.
Don't they teach that in school down there?
I don't think anyone really listens. But yeah, from what I gather, I believe, like 5 or 6 people broke into the Democratic place in Watergate. They taped the doors. That's irrelevant. I don't remember why, but the doors were taped. And then, yeah, they were taking pictures of things.
You tape the doors so people don't see the camera flash.
That's it.
What?
The camera flash. That because someone saw the camera flash through the windows.
Like,
Forced?
But like I'm just saying, if there's a janitor or a custodian down the hallway and you tape around the door frame, then the guy won't see the camera flash.
Okay.
I don't. That only works with like duct tape, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you can't use like packing tape.
you can use electrical tape.
Like anything opaque.
But
Yeah.
then just take the flash off the camera if that's.
Well, then you got to turn the light on.
Yeah. Okay.
That's even more sketchy.
That's true.
I still don't. Okay, so
I don't know. Maybe it's not, because then people will just look at the window and be like, "Oh, someone left a light on."
Okay, hold on. So, like the DNC, like they weren't like recording the DNC, like because the DNC is always recorded. It was like specific documents at the headquarters.
Specific documents. It was also before he was reelected, so I think it ties into some kind of manipulation to help him get reelected by getting insider info on the Democrats. I think.
Right.
Oh, was he trying to uncover evidence that the Democrats were rigging the election?
Probably.
That's a little prophetic.
So who was
A lot of things about this are prophetic.
So who was running democratically in the Democratic side that he wanted to beat?
Hold on.
That would be Jimmy Carter, wouldn't it?
What? Hold on.
And then hold on, I have a follow-up question. Was the guy who overtook, like replaced him when he resigned, that Democratic leader, or was it the Republican leader?
That was the vice president, Republican, the Gerald Ford.
Oh, Ford, right? Yes, Ford was yes,
And
he pardoned him.
Squeaky Frum tried to kill Gerald Ford.
I know that from Assassins, the musical.
There you go.
Thank you. I think he ran against Hubert Humphrey, unless that was the first time he was elected.
I think the first time he was elected, was he running against LBJ? Was that a re-election thing for LBJ?
Who's
I'm
LBJ?
not sure. Lyndon B. Johnson?
Oh, no. The first time he ran for president, it was against Humphrey.
Okay, so Humphrey primaried LBJ, eh? Wow.
George McGovern is who he beat.
Oh, of course, 72. That's a famous loss.
See,
Is it?
you are the political
No.
correspondent.
Hunter S. Thompson wrote Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, 1972, about the George McGovern campaign. It's a fantastic read.
I believe it. I tried to watch the movie. It was too much. It was overstimulating.
Oh, well, no, that's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He wrote a few Fear and Loathings. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair. This is going to be an interesting night with all the Canadians trying to make sense of the Watergate scandal.
We apologize in advance.
But also,
This movie's barely even about Watergate.
yeah.
It's true.
We were able to get through the entire film without knowing what it is. And I
No.
thought it was a great movie.
I agree. I think that's I think that is a testament. I think that's an important thing with these types of films, which is also why I didn't do well. I was also lazy, but I didn't do a ton of Watergate research before watching the film, just sort of with the opinion that the movie should be able to communicate like within its own bubble what it needs to communicate for the story to make sense, which is also how I felt going into The Butler. I thought I could research who all these people were, or I could just let the movie tell me what it's going to tell me and figure it out from there. And yeah, I think this film does a pretty good job within its own little bubble of making the point. I don't know what that point is. Maybe I do. I don't know. No, but there's a lot to discuss. Had anyone seen this film before The Assignment?
Yes, I have.
Yes. Ooh, Lisa, can you recount for us the first time you saw it and what you remember?
I don't know, what year was it? What year did it come out?
It was 08.
Okay, in 2009, Lisa Alves went to the Rogers Video Store, which was equivalent to Blockbuster.
Rest in peace, Rogers.
And this was the last movie I took out at the video store.
Wow.
I don't know why. That was like not my usual go-to. I would always choose like, I don't know, like a Kate Winslet movie or a Kate Blanchett movie.
Of course.
Not a political drama, unless like Meryl Streep was in it, you know? But I picked it up. I guess I was in grade 9 at the time, and did not understand any of it. So I feel like little grade 9 Lisa would be very proud of me now, who understood most of it, except for the actual Watergate scandal. Still, yeah.
And I think that's not just because we didn't get that as part of our like elementary/high school curriculum. I feel like Watergate is kind of a confusing thing. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
Sure.
It's like Iran-Contra. I still don't fully understand Iran-Contra.
What the hell is
I
that?
don't even know what that is.
It involves buying and selling weapons between Iran and a Nicaraguan rebel group, and I think it also like there's cocaine involved. I don't know. It was a big deal.
Okay, I believe it. Is that when was that? Is that now?
I think I think it was the Reagan years.
Oh, that was before I was around. I didn't have to know what was happening then. Not that I know what's happening now. Yeah, I think my story is more or less similar. Like I said, I got this on Boxing Day, I believe, a year or two after it came out, really cheap from Walmart probably or Best Buy, and watched it over my Christmas holiday and thought this is more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I went into it with, it is actually quite funny where my initial knowledge of Nixon comes from, and it's from the 1999 American classic Dick, starring Michelle Williams and Kirsten Dunst, which I thought was just a fun teen rom-com at the time. Little did I realize it was giving me a slice of American history through the lens of irreverent comedy that went over my head as a kid. But I knew that Nixon was just no good, and this movie kind of elaborated on that. And I have since watched Dick, and it is hilarious. I almost regret not programming it as a double bill for this week, because I think like it takes all of the key points in the Watergate scandal and just attributes them to the shenanigans of Michelle Williams and Kirsten Dunst just accidentally being in the White House at the wrong time. So I think the premise is that they end up being appointed as Nixon's official White House dog walkers because he knows that they were there on the Watergate night and they saw something they shouldn't have seen. And then just they keep on doing ridiculous things that set stuff into motion. Like there's one moment when Michelle Williams' character, she falls in love with Richard Nixon. And so she leaves him an 18.5-minute voice recording on the Oval Office tape recorder, but then I think she's embarrassed and so she deletes it, and that's why they have the 18.5-minute gap. That's so infamous.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
So the whole movie is stuff like that. So I recommend everyone watch Dick because
fantastic.
It's hilarious. Anyway, yeah. Vince, I take it this was your first time watching the movie. What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm this popped my Frost Nixon cherry, so to speak. You know, I really liked it. I knew a guy once upon a time who strongly advocated for this film, and I kept putting it off. I'm like, I'm not in the mood. I'll watch it some other time. So if you're watching this now, Darcy Perkin, this
Ew.
film was really good. You were correct. Oh, hang on. What was the question?
Oh yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was really good. I thought Tommy Lee Jones was great at Richard Nixon. I thought Tom Hiddleston was wonderful as David Frost.
That's not how they
Wait.
work.
Wait.
No, these guys were a couple of no names. I'm completely unfamiliar with both of their work.
They're not no names.
Are you serious?
No names.
Okay, hang on. Who are these guys?
Michael Sheen?
Michael Sheen.
Yeah, who the hell's that?
He's from the Angel and Devil Amazon Prime show with.
Yeah, but he's done like other things too. Hold on, I'm gonna look up his listography.
I know Martin Sheen from last week.
No.
He was apparently in Twilight.
Yes, he's one of the vampires.
You got to give me something better than that. I'm sorry.
He
He's
played
in
Hamlet at the
Passengers?
Young Vic.
Okay.
He's in Passengers. He's in the Underworld. He's in Tron.
He's in Tron.
He's in The
Tron
Queen.
Legacy, probably.
He's in he's in Alice in Wonderland's Tim Burton's version.
What?
Oh God.
Who is he in? Who's he in that?
I don't know.
He's
Okay.
one of the awful characters, I'm sure.
Uh
Hang on. So who's Frank Langella?
He's Richard
no,
Nixon.
he's Italian.
No. Like he seems like a no name to me. Am I wrong? Was he in Godfather or something? Am I coming off like some kind of?
He was Tony nominated for playing Dracula on Broadway.
Yeah.
He has a He does have a Bela Lugosi sort of appeal to him.
He was in Wall Street. Money Never Sleeps.
He was in a version
Oh.
of Lolita.
Oh.
Uh
I don't know anything about Lolita. I just know that it's
I hear the prose is fantastic.
oh yeah, here we go. He originated Salieri in Amadeus on Broadway.
Oh, so he's most known for his stage stuff.
I guess, but he's a somebody.
Like he has done a lot of film and TV.
He also has a son that I think we know of better. Oh my god,
Larry?
he was with Whoopi Goldberg from 1995 to 2000.
Wow. Hang on. Was he her rebound after Ted Danson?
I don't know.
Wow.
Well, I'm gonna figure out his child.
Okay.
Figure out his child. Look, I liked the movie. I think there were some really strong scenes. It took me a little bit to get into it. But once I did, I was very captivated.
Yeah, like once we moved into the interviews, I think the pacing was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I had remembered finding those scenes the most compelling, obviously. So I went into this rewatch kind of dreading like probably the first hour because I figured it would take an hour or so to get into the really good stuff. But I even felt like the first bit, the expository parts, moved at a decent pace. I felt like there was a good balance between both characters, between showing us David Frost as well as Nixon. And yeah, I think overall I really enjoyed the pacing. I didn't think anything felt too rushed or too drawn out for the most part. Yeah, Lisa, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand again the Watergate situation, but the beginning, like where all the credits were happening at the beginning of the movie, I really liked how it kind of encapsulated the scandal to a place where I was able to kind of understand what the uproar was. And like you said, I think the expository setup of like getting to know these characters at the beginning was like really well paced. I think I was concerned going back into it, being like, oh, this is like where I was lost as a young teenager. Because it's like, it was just like a lot of people, a lot of white men I didn't care about. But I don't know. I don't know. I think they were not only like written well, but like they were acted well, which I think set up the rest of the movie for like these archetypes, which I appreciated. But yeah, I will say that the interviews were the highlight of the movie and the strength of the movie, because it did feel like not like a battle. Well, yeah, like a sword fight almost.
Yes.
It felt like a tennis match. It felt like watching a really good game of like who's going to win this.
Or a really boring version of Challengers.
Yes, a very less gay version of Challenger.
What's Challengers?
Oh, it's a
Zendaya.
fun film.
It's with Zendaya, and she's a tennis player, and she gets these two guys who are also tennis players, and she like kind of screws with their mind, and they have like a little romance, the two guys.
Okay.
And it's like a love triangle.
Oh, it's Riff from West Side Story and Prince Charles from The Crown.
Oh, is that Riff? He was a good Riff.
He was a great Riff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other guy was a good young Prince Charles. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I guess so sort of to address that, and also to tie in The Crown, as it were. Like I said in the opening, this is a Peter Morgan work, who is the guy famously responsible for giving us all the seasons of The Crown. He seems to really be building. He seems to have really built his career on these historical dramas, which I find fascinating, especially when you don't know a ton of the real history, as is the case with me when I'm usually watching The Crown or watching this. And so I guess kind of two things. Well, maybe it all kind of bleeds into one. When I went back and watched some of the actual clips of the interviews, they're a lot less heated than they appear in this film. Like, the words are the same, but Nixon is a lot more stoic. Like, he doesn't get as worked up when he says, "I'm saying it was the president does it, it's not illegal." Like, it's much more monotonous. It's a lot more controlled. How do we feel about just the overall concept of taking actual historical events that are in some cases very highly documented, like these, like videotaped interviews, and dramatizing them? Do you think there's a responsibility to keep it as mundane as it is in real life, or do you appreciate that it was amped up a bit for this film?
I mean, I think Peter Morgan, I guess the whole writing team on The Crown had that like critique against them. Specifically, I think in season 3 or 4 with Helena Bonham Carter. Because a lot of people, specifically with The Crown, a lot of people were believing a lot of these like background stories that weren't highly publicized, but like are documented within the monarchy. And Helena was like, you guys are like, to the global audience, like, don't believe everything you see. Like, this is historical fiction. And it didn't seem like she was advocating for it, but like she was more advocating for the truth. So I think that might be like just Peter Morgan's style, but it also might be Peter Morgan's fault, his Achilles heel, if you will. I think like as just, a content consumer, I like it. I think it helps me to like go into a story and then be like, okay, I'm interested in this historical thing and look up more. I think like that's the responsibility as like consumers of the content to be like, okay, like what actually happened, right? But I can see a lot of people not doing that and being like, that's what actually happened in history. So I think there is a place for creative liberty, but I don't know. As a person who like enjoys historical fiction, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think one thing I've found interesting with Peter Morgan is that he has said his rule that he set for himself is that he needs to wait at least 20 years before he writes something in a historical way, because people have been saying like, when is the Kate Middleton season going to happen? Well, I guess it kind of already did, but the current era of like Kate and Meghan Markle, they were like, when is that going to happen on The Crown? And he, I think, said never, or if it does, 20 years is his rule, because he thinks that's at like the minimum amount of time that you need to be able to look back and remove yourself, I suppose, is the idea.
Vintage.
It needs to be. Imagine if Meghan Markle played herself on The Crown.
Iconic.
It'd be iconic. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I think situations like these types of films, if it's not going to be one step away from a documentary, I feel like the essence of what happened needs to be retained. Otherwise, either you're fabricating false truths, which I think is just dangerous if you're passing it off as reality, at least in a way that strays too far from the truth. Like if this movie was saying Nixon was right, we love Nixon, he's a hero. Well, actually, I wasn't there, but I'm assuming he wasn't. So anyway, I think this film does a more or less good job of keeping it within the realm of what actually happened. But more importantly, what I appreciate with this movie is I feel like it presents a lot of ideas that circle around the Nixon presidency with regard to abuse of power and how much leeway can be given to a political figure, if any, at all, which is what I find the most engaging about this film. And we'll dive into eventually. But yeah, I almost called you Nick. Vince, what do you think? Do you think?
Well, as the founder and CEO of Only Time Will Tell, I'm a strong proponent of fabricating truths for comedic and entertainment value.
Wait, what? That's not.
Yeah.
Your show's not a documentary.
Only sometimes. You got to read the fine print in the description.
Okay.
But yeah, look. I at first I thought all of this really happened, right? And then I'm looking into it, and my favorite part of the movie, the phone call, the drunken phone call, never happened. There's 100% artistic license. Mm-hmm. And Ron Howard, he commented on it, and he said, I'm not sure if the phone call's in the play. That's me talking here. Has anyone seen the play? Because I want to know the differences here. Because it is possible they made up the phone call for the movie because you need a dramatic beat there, right?
No, I would be shocked if that scene wasn't in the play.
Okay.
Especially with how it wraps up. Like the last exchange feels very play-like to me. When he's like, "Did I really call you that night?" Yes. Yeah. What did we say? We talked about cheeseburgers. I can imagine that being like blackout.
Yeah. That was my favorite part of the movie. And apparently, during the thick of the Watergate scandal, Dick Nixon did tend to get drunk and make phone calls at 4 a.m.
Oh,
so that was like a stress thing of his.
I'll find the scene. Keep chatting. Hold on, I found the play.
Oh fuck yeah! So look, I thought I don't know. I'm not sure. I think they dialed up the dramatic tension in terms of the funding, and I appreciate that. I like movies where someone bites off more than they can chew financially. And I think that adds a lot of tension. I like it. Is this guy going to be in debt for the rest of his life? That could be a fate worse than death. So I appreciate that. I think, Tom Hiddleston was great.
Stop it. It's not Tom Hiddleston. Who are you referencing?
He looked like, I don't know. He gave off Hiddleston vibes.
Ooh, which one?
Martin Sheen.
Oh. No, he didn't. What? Martin Sheen is so much shorter than Tom Hiddleston. Oh my god. I don't understand the point of adding this phone call if it never happened, because it makes Nixon seem like he's getting Alzheimer's. He's becoming senile, which I get it. He's old, so maybe he was. And obviously it's recorded that he had a drinking problem, but he died of an aneurysm. There is no record of him having memory loss. So I'm just I think it's not actually doing what the writers want.
No, I feel my impression of that scene was that was Peter Morgan taking his biggest liberties to give his personal take on Nixon's motivations, because that's where we have the whole discussion of they don't respect me, they don't respect you, so that's why I do the things that I do, so that I can elevate myself to a place where I can look down on them and whatever. It's voicing a lot of insecurities that I don't know enough about Nixon to know if he ever articulated anything like that, but I think factually it likely stems from his actual history with whatever his father issues were and his deceased brothers, etc. So I think that's why that's there, and also to add some level of not humanity, but to humanize him a little bit outside of the context of the interviews. Because again, when you watch the interviews, they're so dry, and you really don't get any sense of who he is, I feel. Yeah.
I like the idea of a warrior demanding the best of their adversary. You know, I like it's like Goku and Vegeta. It's like I guess this isn't a Dragon Ball Z crowd. Anyone who's seen Dragon Ball Z knows what
I
I'm
know
talking
Dragon Ball Z because of you.
about. That's true.
I know who Goku is because of Funko Pops.
There you go. Okay, we're halfway there. But I like the idea of, like, you know, an honorable, you know, combatant who doesn't want to defeat their enemy at their worst. They want to defeat their opponent at their best.
Yeah.
So Richard Nixon calling up David Frost saying, I expected more of you and you better bring the heat after our 5-day Easter break. I thought that was good. And, you know, I like the little bit of a Christ resurrection idea. You know, David Frost, on Good Friday, he kind of goes into his cave studying, and then he's resurrected on Easter Monday,
Nice.
and he's back.
Yeah.
And he conquers evil, so to speak.
You know, I never drew that conclusion, so
Oh,
good for you. That is
Mm.
that. If this was a book report and you were reading this play in grade 12 English class,
Oh,
you
yeah.
made that analysis, A plus,
A+.
A
Hell
plus,
yeah.
5 stars.
Well
I
done.
appreciate that.
So let's move the focus to that idea that Nixon articulates. When the president does it, it's not illegal. Do we agree?
Yeah, I feel like he
I
set
mean-
the freaking standard because that seems to be what.
Wow. Look, I think it's from an ethical standpoint, no, it shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it is. You know, come
But-
on, every president since Washington's a war criminal, and none of them have been dragged before the Hague. You know, it's fine. It's just accepted.
So are you saying he's just the first one to have said it?
Well, maybe in a public forum.
Yeah, like yeah.
It's an open secret.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
look at what Andrew Garfield or Andrew Andrew Jackson got away with the Trail of Tears, one of the biggest atrocities in American history, and he's beloved. People still call him Old Hickory.
I never heard of that, and I am not
Oh,
loving.
you should have been around 2 weeks ago. We were talking about Old Hickory.
No, I don't know much about Andrew Jackson at all.
No, he has a musical about him that is less popular than Hamilton.
Oh wait, hold on.
Wow.
Is that with Mr. Feeney?
I don't know. It's called Bloody Andrew Jackson. It's like a pseudo. I don't know what I would articulate the genre as. It's kind of like Green Day-ish. It kind of feels like emo.
What?
Yeah. It was Hamilton kind of before Hamilton.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
No, because Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World,
Mhm.
I think he played Hamilton in a staged play of a historical fiction of what Hamilton is.
It would be wild if he was in Bloody Andrew
I
Jackson.
don't think he was now that you're speaking about it. I don't think that's the case.
Speaking of Boy Meets World, did you guys hear Ben Savage is running for office?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Wait, which office? Like president office or lower? Like
No, I don't think he's running for president. That would be a wild card for sure.
Is he
But I think he's running for Congress or something.
yeah. I think I heard that just because I was reading interviews with the cast of Boy Meets World, and then a lot of them were saying we don't talk to him anymore. Ever since he started his political campaign, he's kind of ghosted us.
Awful.
sad?
Yeah. Well, it also sounds like he wasn't that great ever. So
He's no Fred Savage.
he's
Living in the shadow of the Wonder Years. It's not easy.
it's true.
Mm,
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah. What do I want to go to? Oh, yeah. So when the president does it, it's not.
It's not illegal. Yeah, I don't think it's a standard that should be upheld, but it clearly is.
Yeah, I feel like executive privilege is apparently actually a thing,
Yeah.
which is a term I learned through this film and then very briefly looked into. And I think the difference is that Nixon just really took advantage of it and utilized it for selfish purposes, as opposed to I don't think it's as cut and dry to say all rules and laws should apply to political leaders, because I'm sure there are instances. I can't think of any good examples right now, but I'm positive there must be instances where choices have to be made. And yeah, like, I think, yeah, there can be probably instances where if the president does it, it's not illegal.
I don't know what those are, though.
I don't know. Well,
There's
although,
the top ones that I can think of, which is like fraud and murder. I'm like, no, though,
well, yeah, no.
like
I'm thinking more like breaking and entering to like get something. Yeah, like
imagine Bill
international
breaking into Hillary's apartment to
like
delete
if you
some
need
voicemail.
information, but then I guess that's when you do it officially and you
Yeah,
get
that's why you get like
search warrant.
CIA to do it. Yeah.
So then I guess it would be legal. So
I think I intrinsically I intrinsically feel that the president should be held to the same standards as every other citizen, but that is not the case because the system is so inequitable, and this is why anarchism, I guess.
You heard it here first, folks.
I guess this is what anarchism like talks about, how the whole system's trash. So
so that's the answer.
I guess that's the answer.
All right. Well, we have kind of touched on this about this movie being
Three Canadians in front of an American flag advocating for anarchy. Let's do it.
I might have to hide this episode.
No, not again. How can we not talk about the politics of the states without bringing up an alternative like anarchism, though? Like, come on.
It
I
can't
don't know
be
if
done.
anarchy is what I would go straight to. I'd go to like
Socialism would be great.
Magocracy. No, just pick a magician. Magocracy.
A magocracy.
Magocracy. It's where a magician rules because they're magic. So it's like Oz. I'd go
No, because that's a
We don't want Oz.
I don't want Oz. What are you talking about?
Wait, hang on. Do you want Oz the Great and Powerful Oz, or do you want Wicked Oz? I'd rather have Oz the Great and Powerful.
I mean,
Oz.
they're both kind of the same in terms of politically.
Oz is like awful. Like in any story you get, he's not good.
No. In Oz the Great and Powerful, at least he's not racist to the talking animals.
Yeah, but he's still problematic. He's still a fraud.
That's just because he's James Franco, though. If it was a different actor, the character would be
still
okay.
be on paper. It's just a little bit worse because it's James Franco. Well, no, the thing with the political system in Oz is that before the wizard got there, everything was like Oz was more, it wasn't ruled in harmony because yes, you had wicked witches and good witches, but all the counties of Oz had their own political systems and they were ruled by one witch, and it was definitely a matriarchal system that was ruled by magic. Then the wizard shows up and he dismantled that, and they were like, oh, he must actually have magic that we don't understand, so let's just obey him. And he was like manipulating all of these powerful women who eventually either died or saw through him. And that's
still sounds problematic. And listen, look, if I was American, I would have voted for Bernie when he was running. I still think there's hope for socialism.
I don't know.
I'll watch that movie.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So to bring this to current politics, did anyone else watch this and have multiple moments of this feels oddly similar to Donnie?
Yeah.
Trump.
Them talking about Vietnam and carpet bombing Cambodia and killing civilians, that kind of reminded me of a certain conflict that I probably shouldn't mention by name on the podcast, lest we have. No, I was gonna say
code name.
What's the code name? Watermelon.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess it's really like these. It's not really a metaphor. It's a historic occurrence, and it's commentary on a historic occurrence. But history repeats itself, so this movie will constantly be relevant, or at least that part of it.
Well, but it's sad though, because we're supposed to learn from history and not make the same mistakes historically.
No.
Here we are.
we're supposed to learn from history and then make award-winning films about it.
Oh, and then continue to do it in reality. Right.
So we can make more award-winning films down the line.
I can't wait to see the current award-winning film.
Absolutely. It's good.
Holy moly.
Well, that was one thing that I had running through my brain while watching this movie was, like, if you were to watch this movie 10 years ago, or I guess roughly around the time it came out, I don't even think Nixon would have been the most wild out there person to hold that position, at least within, well, not our lifetime because we weren't around, but within the last 50 to 100 years, let's say. And when you compare it to what we've seen during a 4-year period recently, it's just insane to me how ridiculous the presidency in some ways has gotten. Like watching him I mean, I know it's a fictionalization, but watching Nixon as he's portrayed in this film, definitely there is that element of this man is not fit to run a country. But I'm still watching and thinking, I understand why he was there in the first place, because he does have presidential elements about him. Like, he is a good speaker. He speaks with logic for the most part that I can understand from his perspective. And it's like, how did we get from there to where we are now? Like, what happened?
Reality television.
Yeah, reality television.
But you know what?
Money.
Yeah, you know what I like about the portrayal of Nixon here is, like, he's a crook. They make him look like a crook, but he's got this honor among thieves sort of mentality that's lost. You know, it's almost respectful. It approaches respectful, but it's likable, kind of like a Tony Soprano almost.
I'm offended by that.
How so? Why?
Because I love Tony Soprano.
That's true.
I guess I see where you're going, Vince.
I guess Richard Nixon's never unloaded a gun into anyone on a boat.
Yeah,
So...
no one's he hasn't curb stomped anyone that we know of.
Tony Soprano curb stomped someone?
Yeah, Tony Soprano curb stomps.
Gosh.
Oh, he does the stomping.
Yeah.
I thought that was just an American History X. Well, not watching The Sopranos.
I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of, specifically in this movie, the depiction of Nixon, there was a lot of moments where there were like shots of him like just being a guy, you know, like looking at a puppy or like looking out a window or
checking out David Frost's girlfriend.
Yeah. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, I see what the filmmaker is doing. The filmmaker is making me feel sympathetic for this war criminal. I see.
Yep.
But I don't buy that. I haven't seen a lot of footage of the actual Richard Nixon himself, but like I didn't walk away from the film being like, oh wow, Richard Nixon is such a sweetheart. He accepted the effeminate leather shoes at the very end of the movie. Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. The look on his face, he didn't seem that accepting. He's like, I guess I deserved this.
Well,
I don't know.
well, I was trying to figure out what the meaning of the shoes were, and what I sort of landed on was they represented this thing that he drew attention to, even though he had no interest in it, but it was misconstrued, and then it just ended up like biting him in the behind, because then he was presented with the shoes. And in the moment of watching the movie, I was like, that's a metaphor for his whole political journey, but I can't remember why I thought that at the time. But that is what I thought. I was like,
actually need to do any of that Watergate stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I interpreted that as like David Frost being like I win, asshole. Enjoy these shoes you clearly don't like. But they're like $4,000.
I like those shoes.
They look like a good set of shoes.
Yeah.
Shoes. They're a little effeminate, but you know, in his industry, it's okay.
I think they're great. They were excellent.
They were good shoes.
Yeah, Richard Nixon, not my president.
You know, Americans don't like shoes that don't have laces until you get a set of cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, those aren't effeminate. What's going on there?
Okay, well, because they're tall. That's why.
They are tall.
You can't
Then if they get too tall, then you get into kinky boots.
Well, what's the difference between kinky boots and cowboy boots? Just the glitter factor, or is there? I guess heels.
It's got to be the shape. Yeah.
No, there's heels on cowboy boots.
Yeah,
There are, yeah, an
Not
elevated
small,
heel.
yeah, but they're not.
Chapel Roan would say there are no differences.
Where did Chapel Roan come from? I had never heard of this
Midwest.
person, and then all of a sudden, Chapel Roan was everywhere.
She's been around.
She's been around. She's a Midwest princess. I think Tennessee.
Okay, do we think she would have voted for Nixon?
No.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I also did not walk away from this movie feeling sorry for Nixon, but I kept on bringing it back to comparing it to Trump, and I feel like he's the lesser of two evils. Not that we can really compare them because different times and whatever, but it definitely left me with the sense of, why are we where we are now? And
I mean, they're different, you know? I mean, Nixon extended the war. Trump at least pulled out of Afghanistan. So on a foreign policy thing, they're a little different. Both crooks, both liars. But it is interesting.
it's also interesting seeing this movie portraying how visual media impacts the American people and the voters, and they even say at the end of the film, they were like, we didn't account for how powerful the close-up is, because when you're close up on Richard Nixon, then you can see the ghosts of his past. And yeah, and now that's just become such an incredible tool with everything. The fact that I think I don't want to jinx it. I think Kamala's success has been at least partially due to how good her husband's campaigning has been on social media and on TikTok. Like the Kamala HQ account that's being run by him is incredible.
Is he running it?
Yeah, he's running it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he doesn't really advertise it, but there was one TikTok about a month or two ago where someone just commented, "Who's behind this account? It's hilarious." And then he responded, he was just like, "It's me, second gentleman, whatever his name is, Dougie." And so yeah, Doug is with the times. He knows what the Gen Zers and the millennials want from our content.
I don't fully understand his title as second gentleman right now as the vice president, because the whole I just don't understand it.
No, it's just,
I know it would be like the second lady. But like the second lady to the first lady, right? Because it's like, you know, like,
oh, interesting.
He's not second to anybody. So his actual title is stupid.
Except if and when he becomes the first, or when Kamala becomes president, he should be the first gentleman.
Which is great. Like, that makes sense.
They should just call him a scoundrel and be done with it.
That's true.
No, darling, that will be your title.
He's just done.
The second scoundrel. Oh, that's a good name for a band.
Yeah,
the second scoundrel.
When Lisa's prime minister, that's your title, Vince.
Wait, what's the spouse called in Canada?
We don't have one.
Well, right now we don't have one.
Well, yeah, they got divorced, but like, what was she called? What was her title?
The first divorcee.
Stop it. No, wait, what was Sophie called? What was her title? We don't know. Not
the best singer in the house.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe.
The better drama teacher in the house.
Was she also a drama teacher?
I don't think so. Okay. But she was a talk show host. Wasn't she on E-Talk?
Was she?
Wow.
She was on E-Talk, yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Well, entertainment and politics just gets more and more ingrained.
Well, like Ben Mulrooney. Ben Mulrooney was the talk show host.
Yeah, well, but that kind of went in the other direction. His dad was prime minister. He's like, no, I'm going to be a TV star. And he knows his place. He's not trying to.
I respect more as a trajectory. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Completely derailed that.
Oh, yeah.
We're really losing our American audience here.
Sorry. We start talking about Canadian entertainment TV. Like, what? I'm so sorry.
Hey, remember Tanner Zipchin from Cineplex? He should be prime minister.
Oh my God, Tanner! I miss the pre-shows.
Yes, me too.
That was the guy asking questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy who succeeded Ben Gordon, our friend Ben Gordon, as the Cineplex pre-show host.
Wait,
Really?
Ben was the pre-show guy.
Ben was the pre-show guy.
Wow.
Well, it was him with two others. So it was Ben and two girls. They were the like trio of Cineplex pre-show hosts because all of them won a contest, and the prize was like a bunch of scene points, I think, and getting to do that for a year. Then they ran a contest the second year, and Tanner won, and then they just kept Tanner a little bit longer. And from what I understand, also paid him in scene points, and then let him go. So justice for Tanner.
They
And Ben.
paid him in. That's got to be a crime.
That's
Yeah,
a
'cause
labor lawsuit waiting.
They
to
paid
happen.
him in scene points and craft services.
Exactly.
That's rough.
It's also funny just to see Tanner's TikToks as well. Like when people ask, he's not salty about it, but I kind of feel like he is. There's a video when he's on the red carpet for Wish, and he asks Victor Garber if Jack and Rose could have both fit on the door in the Titanic, and then Victor Garber is really rude. He's like, I don't answer those kinds of questions because I don't care. Then he walks away. So Victor Garber for Prime Minister. I'm curious, what was everyone's favorite moment in the film from the interviews, particularly? Was there a moment that made you go, oh my gosh, did this actually happen?
What was yours, Matt?
Mine, well, I think the quote I keep going to, when the president does it, it's not illegal. I was shocked at the concept of that being uttered publicly. And I think the movie makes it make more sense because it feels like it's emotionally driven, but it's even crazier to me watching the actual interviews where he is seemingly much more in control and still elects to make the choice to say those words.
I know my favorite part.
What?
When Nixon kept disarming Frost before the interviews, and he's like, "You doing it fornicating last night?"
That was funny.
Which apparently happened as well. Yes.
That's great.
That's documented.
Oh no.
That's public record right there.
That is public record.
I think my favorite part was not like the in the interviews, but it was like the debriefs with his like research team afterwards. And like the research team not understanding that like he has this job to do to like appease sponsors, and he's an executive producer on a movie, and like I don't know, I like that kind of drama because it's like team drama, you know?
Yeah. Oh, kind of to that point. What did everyone think of the moment when Sam Rockwell was saying, "I'm not going to shake his hand. I hate him," and then
Oh my god, iconic! Also so relatable. I do that all the time in theater. I'll like tell somebody I'm not shaking that person's hand, and then like I end up doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I pretty well felt the same thing. I was like, I've been in this moment, I'm sure. But I wanted better from Sam Rockwell. I was like, I want this to be the movie where he doesn't do it and he stands his ground, but he didn't.
No, he did. He was like us.
He was like us. But why do you think that is? When you're confronted with a former president who is like everything that you are against, why do you think one is inclined to shake hands? Are we just more afraid of being rude?
No, we're conditioned to believe that these presidents exude power, a certain aura. Maybe they even do. Maybe Nixon, just from his time in the White House alone, he's adopted this sort of presence that leaves people kind of starstruck, if they're not used to that whole Washington inside loop.
Yeah, he drank a little bit of that water from the White House, and now he just glows.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I think it might have been like a mixture of not wanting to be rude, but also in that moment, Nixon seemed to be pretty disarming. Like he seemed like so nice and like personable to people in the room, and so you can't really be rude to a person who's being what it seemed like genuinely nice.
Yeah. Do we think that's what it would be like if we met Trump?
No, because he would be an asshole.
Actually, that moment reminded me of, did anyone see the debate when Kamala went handshake at the beginning?
Yeah.
He wasn't going to shake her hand. She's the one who went in.
Yeah. That was a power move there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I would probably do that. I would probably say that about any president and end up shaking their hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would say that about like Bill Clinton.
I did that with Rob Ford once.
You
What?
did?
I ran into Rob Ford in Cabbagetown, Toronto once. And like there was a crowd around him, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Rob Ford," because he was in the middle of his crack scandal, and people still loved him at this. It was the Cabbagetown Music Festival,
Gosh.
and he's shaking people's hands, and I shook his hand. He had big bear paws. It was crazy, big football player hands.
Was it a good handshake? Was it firm but not?
It was a very firm handshake.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Well, he's the one that's dead, right? Yeah,
He is dead. It's not Doug that's dead.
No,
I think I'm confused all the time.
I do too. It's
Doug
like-
is so much less interesting.
Is he?
It's because of the crack.
Okay, fair. I mean, I kind of
And
forget about Rob Ford at this point, and now I just think, oh, Doug, the guy who wants to put beer everywhere.
Say what you want about Nixon. Nixon never said he had more than enough to eat at home.
Who said that?
That was
Doug?
That was Rob Ford said that.
Oh my god.
Anyway, we can't get into that too much. We're gonna get demonetized.
I feel like we already have.
Rob was. Say his name. Anyway. Throwback joke.
I think about that constantly because he's just
Yeah, me too.
everywhere.
Me too. Every time I go to see a show with that guy, I'm like, oh, say his name.
Yeah, he was helping a friend with her garden, and I just felt so bad. Like watching, like just no, like she has like a tomato garden.
Yeah.
He was like in like she was filming him, and she posted on his stories, and she was like, yeah, he's helping me, and I was just like, oh man, I feel so bad for calling him out, but he should have learned his lines.
Exactly. Say his name, even though we're not saying his name.
We're not gonna say his name today because I feel bad.
I do too. Yeah, no, he seems like a genuinely good person.
Yeah, he seems really nice.
But learn your lines, mister.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Learn your lines. That's all. Yeah. Well, on the topic of actors and learning lines, it's the best segue I have. I want to talk about the performances, specifically from Frank. Well, I think Frank. I mean, if we have anything to say about Michael as David Frost, worthwhile. But Frank, I find, has like the unenviable task of having to play Richard Nixon, which is something we've discussed on this show previously with John Cusack and his success or not success in The Butler. I maintain I liked it, but how did we feel about Frank's take on Nixon in this movie?
This was a much better casting decision. I didn't see The Butler, but from just hearing John Cusack as Nixon, that's silly.
Well, he looks exactly like John Cusack. They didn't do much to make him look different, and then he's just doing a very subtle Nixon voice. He's like, "When I'm president, boys, you're not gonna have to worry about
that's so bad." Who said yes to that? Oh my god. Anyway, I think Frank did a great job. I mean, he was a little bit too Italian for me, but other than that, Nixon was an Italian, right?
No, his real name was Nixoni.
Was it really?
No.
Okay.
Ricardo Milhouse Nixoni.
No, yeah, I think he did a good job. I don't know, he seemed like a nice old teddy bear.
No, but the voice threw me off.
Really?
Just I guess I had to go again. This goes back to me watching the actual Nixon footage. I feel I'm so accustomed to what the Nixon impersonations sound like that when I actually hear the man talking, he just sounds like a normal guy, as opposed to how everyone mimics him. And I think Frank, is it Langella or Langella?
Langella?
Yeah, I'll call him Frankie. I think Frankie has this natural low resonance to his voice that I assumed he was putting on to mimic Nixon, but I think that's just how where his voice comfortably sits. So yeah, it kind of sounded like Bane from Dark Knight Rises as Nixon.
No, don't do Frank like that.
Like, no, I think he deserved to get nominated for the Oscar he was nominated for. Just the voice was a little Bane-ish. He's like, well, I'm president, it's not illegal. Yeah.
I was born in the darkness.
Exactly.
You merely adopted it.
Well, I mean, voice aside, I do think he gave a very compelling performance, just in terms of giving me what seemed like a real person, like a flawed person, as opposed to a caricature, which actually John Cusack might have even sort of fallen into that category. So I guess I don't know what John Cusack was trying to do. Still, I didn't mind it.
I think Frank was good. I think Michael Sheen was good. I want to talk about the Baconator because I was expecting a bit more from him.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
You know,
part.
yeah, the role. I don't know, like
I thought
why
it was a role
the
for him.
role wasn't that big. I didn't think you needed Kevin Bacon. You know, I mean, is it
Just-
possible that the character had much more that got left on the cutting room floor? Possibly.
No, I felt like he was so prominent in this film. No,
Knowing that, like, before going into the movie and knowing Kevin Bacon's in it makes me want to watch it a little bit more.
Mm.
You know?
yeah, I think what I liked with Kevin Bacon, actually, the whole cast, it like there were a few recognizable names. Granted, I think Sam Rockwell became a bit more well known after this came out, like with his Oscar win, especially. But Kevin Bacon, especially, it felt like just good casting for what that role was compared to when I think to The Butler, where it started to feel like stunt casting. Like I said, like you get 2 hours in, it's like, oh, of course, Jane Fonda's Nancy Reagan, because that's the world we're in.
Here's what I think. I think the producers were like, look, I'm sure this movie's great, but you got two guys that American audiences aren't going to recognize. You know, it's like me at the beginning of this review, as ignorant as I may be, American audiences in 2008 didn't know these guys unless you were into the Tonys, I guess. Then you know Frank Langella.
Langella.
Well, I mean, if you're into the Tonys, you also know Michael Sheen because they were both on Broadway in the show.
Okay. So they knew this movie was going to hit with the queer audience for sure. But
no.
The Tony crowd, no.
I think the casting was probably like, we need strong theater actors to play this adaptation from a play, but who also have screen experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's also just the two of them originated both on the West End, apparently, as well as Broadway. I feel like this movie getting made was always tied to those guys specifically. It was like, if you want this movie, it's them. Like, they were probably a part of the writing or the development process, I would assume, in rehearsals. And yeah, I feel it's a case of it's just so good on stage. Let's move it onto screen so the world can see. But yeah, you need Kevin Bacon to sell tickets.
Yeah, you need a nice footloose name.
Oh, and Rebecca Hall, the illustrious Rebecca Hall.
Oh my God!
From Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
She plays the girlfriend.
That's right.
Oh, apparently she was in The Prestige too.
Yeah, she plays Vicky and Vicky Cristina, or is it Christina? She plays. I think it's Vicky.
The less fun one.
Yeah, but the one with the larger storyline.
Vicky Cristina Barcelona. She played. Let's see.
She played Barcelona.
Yeah, that's where is it? Where's Vicky Cristina? Oh, she played Vicky. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yes, yeah. Which is a great movie. Very different from this.
Still haven't seen it, but I believe it. Oh, she was in the BFG. We watched that.
Was she one of the? Was she like the nun or the lady in charge of the orphanage, or was she the Queen of England?
No, I think the Queen of England was Olivia Colman. I don't know why. That just feels right. Feels like that's who it probably would have been.
In the BFG?
Yeah, I think.
No.
Who's the Queen?
Not her.
Oh, it's never mind. Wrong. Penelope Wilton. I don't know who that is, but apparently she is a dame as appointed by the British Empire for drama. So, you know, she's probably good.
Gotta love the dames.
Oh, I thought Toby Jones's American accent was terrible.
Who?
Toby Jones. He was the literary agent. He was in Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who I thought had a really bad accent? His friend from Britain. What's his name? Because he's like just some American dude.
What?
Oh, what's his name? Let me look it up.
The blonde guy.
Yeah.
From Stargate. He's in Stargate, right?
Yeah, he's just like some nerdy American guy. That his British accent was bad.
Mm.
No, you don't think so?
I look, I enjoyed Peter Dinklage in Game of Thrones, so I can't detect a bad British accent
Shit,
for the life of me.
guys. Wait, his name is David Matthew McFadden, and he's actually British.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. But that's the thing with British accents. So, like, some of them are so mixed up that they just sound fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for validating me, Matt.
Of course. Anyway.
Damn.
Frost Nixon. Any other thoughts about this movie before we go into the game?
I really enjoyed this motif I found in the movie of like people at windows or doors giving a look that is not the look that they left the room with.
Ooh.
So the first instance, you know exactly what I mean, Vince.
Yeah.
The first instance is Frost watching the TV of Nixon waving farewell after his resignation, and Nixon is looking so happy right before he gets on the helicopter. And then there's this one moment as he's like going into the helicopter that he's like, F my life, you know, and it happens continuously throughout the movie. With like Frost doing that with his research team a few times because he's like so stressed about the funding. It happens again a bunch with Nixon. So like I just love that little element of good acting, I would say.
You know who does that all the time is Biden.
Does he? Oh,
you
yes.
can see it. Yeah, he shakes someone's hand and turns around and he does like, ah. He's got this mean old Alzheimer's mug.
Who's that? Oh, this is what I wanted to add. My last note. I think a great casting choice for Nixon would be Tommy Lee Jones.
Ooh.
I brought that up earlier as a joke. Yeah.
Oh.
Because I was saying Frank Langella was Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was not.
Oh, you looked disgusted with me, darling.
Did I? Oh, I think it was just because.
Roll the clip. We got the clip.
Go back. I think it's just because I thought you were making like the Tom Hiddleston joke with.
Oh, he was.
You were so disgusted with the Tom Hiddleston setup that you didn't listen
to
Tommy Lee Jones.
He's such a different man than Michael Sheen. I'm sorry. I was distracted. Anyway, those were my final thoughts before the game.
I think one of my final thoughts is Ron Howard is an underrated director, I feel.
I think he's perfectly rated.
Sorry
I interrupted.
Yeah. No, well, I think I reflecting on all the movies that I've seen of his, I don't think I've ever seen a bad film. I don't think he has a discernible vision, let's say. I don't think he necessarily has a distinct voice, but I think he makes competently good movies.
I will say
has some good directorial choices, but yeah, like it's hard to pinpoint like what is a Ron Howard type of movie, but he also doesn't really have the versatility where I'm like he fully embraces a genre or a type of filmmaking. It's just like whatever he does, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, I won't say that this is like Ron Howard's trademark, but watching this for the first time, I was heavily reminded of First Man, which I think was Ron Howard, because the structure is very similar. It's like a fake documentary that cuts between the actual movie, and then it cuts to like people being interviewed, talking. I don't know. I guess that's a choice that he made back in 2008, and he liked it. Or is the play like that?
I don't think the play is like that.
Okay, so you don't have people walking out on stage being like, "Oh, well, this is that." And...
I have the script. Let's find out.
All right.
Yeah, I found the script. No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, well, it's time for the game. Woo!
Woohoo!
Okay.
We made it.
So, for tonight's game, that's nothing. For tonight's game, I'm trying to figure out, do I want to give each of you a chance to No, it's funner if you just jump in. Only one person gets the point. Cool. So, yeah. So, I am going to tonight's game is called I didn't come up with the name. I'm trying to think of something clever right now, but I can't. Trump or Dick, basically. So I'm going to show you a quote. You have to tell me a Trump quote or a Richard Nixon quote.
I love this.
But in order to get the point, you don't tell me if it's Trump or Nixon. You have to read the quote in your best impersonation of the person's voice.
No. Oh my God. That's a good Trump impersonation.
I only have a good Trump sometimes. I really botch it sometimes too. It's tough.
So in order to get the chance to go, let's say, I'm going to have to, like, we can't buzz in, but I'm going to have you clap, let's say. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah. So whoever claps first will get the opportunity to read the quote in the voice of whichever former president they think it is.
I'm so bad at impersonations.
So here we go.
Okay.
The first quote. I would have made a good quote. Lisa.
I would have made a good pope.
Trump, right?
Yeah.
Trump, right?
It was Nixon.
Dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be tougher than I thought.
Really?
Yeah. It was Nixon.
He's Catholic?
No, he's a Quaker. They said that like 3 times.
Well, then why would he make a good pope? He gotta be Catholic.
He's just saying he would have been a good
He's
pope.
just saying
Oh man.
Next. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose voters. Okay, Vince, let's go.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose voters. It's not good. It's not good. I'm having
mine.
That's Trump, right?
That is a Trump, right?
That was Trump. That was Trump. That's a Trump quote. Very good.
Very
Good. All right.
That was better than mine. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh no, I yours was there, Lisa. Yours was there.
I got the hand.
That was it. It was in the hands. Okay, next. Politics would be a hell of a good business if it weren't for the goddamn Lisa.
Politics would be a hell of a good business if it weren't for the goddamn.
It was Nixon. Good job, Lisa.
I thought that was Bernie Sanders. 2020 Bernie Sanders, tired from the pandemic.
It is a Parka asking once again.
Okay, next.
Oh man.
I would give myself an A+. Lisa.
I would give myself an A+.
Yeah, that's a Trump quote. There we go. Solutions are not the answer. Vince.
Solutions are not the answer.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was good.
Vince, that was so good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was well. Now, was that Nixon or was that Frank doing Nixon?
That's no, that's Nixon from Forrest Gump. Nixon
Nixon in Forrest Gump too.
In a
Yeah.
newsreel, yeah.
Yeah.
Who is it? Do we know who the actor is?
No idea. I think it might be actually him. I'm not sure.
CGI.
Maybe it is the real Nixon. Who
I think
knows?
it's CGI Nixon. Yeah.
CGI Nixon.
Next, it is the responsibility of the media to look at the president with a microscope, but they go too far when they use a proctoscope.
It's the responsibility of the media to look at the president with a microscope, but they go too far when they use a proctoscope.
That was beautiful. It was wrong, but it was beautiful. That's Nixon.
I know it's too many words for Trump, I suppose.
He likes short sentences.
Yeah.
Lots of repetition.
Yeah.
Next. Vince.
Let me make one thing perfectly clear. I wouldn't want to wake up next to a lady pipe fitter, Rosie O'Donnell.
That was uncanny. It was wrong.
Really?
No!
That's a Nixon. That's a Nixon.
No way!
Oh, what an asshole.
Right?
Trump and Richard Nixon would have been best friends.
Right?
Thick
Imagine
as
the
thieves.
Twitter sparring they would have done.
Yeah.
Running mates probably as well.
Oh, Nixon would have loved Twitter.
Yeah.
Nixon would have loved Twitter.
Must have been
Drunk at 4 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next. Lisa?
You know, it really doesn't matter what the media writes as long as you've got a young, beautiful piece of ass.
That's getting better. They're
Yeah.
improving in real time.
That was indeed Trump. So very good, very good.
Thank
All right. Next. Yes.
You know what happened to the Greeks? Homosexuality destroyed them.
That was indeed Nixon. There we go.
Vince, a little grumble at the end really brought it home.
And finally, Vince.
I was not lying. I said things that later on seemed to be untrue. No, that wasn't good. That wasn't good.
That was good. That was good.
That was good, but
It was
that was
incorrect
Nixon.
too. Yeah.
Oh, Nixon.
That was Nixon.
It's so difficult to decipher. It's like
You
you're
know,
going
I figured it out halfway through. I'm like, no, this sentence structure is all wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, because Trump has a cadence. Like when you get into
Yeah.
the Trump voice,
Yeah.
it's the cadence. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Well, we have a tie right now. So I guess not about wagering, it's about tie breaking. So whoever gets this question right will be the winner.
Okay.
Now, there's no impersonations to be done here. This is just a historical fact. And it's about a dog. It's about man's best friend. Richard Nixon had a bunch of dogs, but he had a famous dog who he cited in a speech that has gone down in history as the insert name of dog here speech. What is the name of that pupper?
Fidel.
Clifford.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm going to keep giving hints until one of you gets it.
Okay.
Lisa has the first letter correct. It is a C name. It is a dog name that starts with a C.
Cleveland.
Nope.
Carson Cleveland. Okay.
Carlos.
Nope. This dog shares its name with a game.
Checkers.
Yes, Lisa, you won. Checkers the dog.
Checkers is such a cat name, though.
I know.
Yeah, but apparently it was like a black and white checkered cocker spaniel or something. I don't think it was actually.
That's good then.
Yeah, I believe the vibe of the Checkers speech. He was still vice president, and he was accused of like either taking bribes or accepting gifts and money or something in exchange for political whatever. And then in the speech he was like, "Listen, I'll give everything back, but there's one thing I won't give back, and it's my daughter's cocker spaniel Checkers."
Oh, wait, who was he vice president to?
It was Dwight Eisenhower.
Eisenhower.
Wasn't
he responsible for all the national parks? Or is that Roosevelt?
I think that was Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Both Robin Williams.
The cowboy president.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were both played by Robin Williams. That's a good Jeopardy question.
It is. I should write those. Yeah. All right. Well, here we are. So we're wrapping up this week's Frost Nixon. And yeah, I want to bring it back to the question I've asked towards the end of all of these episodes, which is, what do you think this movie says about the institution of the presidency and or the role of the president?
The media is going to get you. The media will come and get you.
I like that. The media will get you. Yeah. Yeah.
The president is just a man. He's just flesh and bone, and he's not above sin. In fact, he's far more likely to commit sin, in my opinion. Hey, I don't know. That's life in the big city, right?
Yeah. I think this movie and potentially the Nixon presidency just shows us that it's a position where the power can be abused. And so care needs to be taken in to who you elect into that position, because by nature of it being a job that air quote anyone can aspire to, yeah, you can get somebody who wants power for the wrong reasons and will do what they need to serve themselves before the country. Not to say that's what Nixon did, because I don't know enough historically to make that claim, but this movie kind of gave me the sense that that's what he did. So there it is. Woot. All right. Well, this wraps up Nixon week. Next week, it's all about JFK, but also not really about JFK, about the lore of JFK. So next week, we're doing a double bill. We are watching the movie JFK, which I know nothing about, but apparently it perpetuated a lot of conspiracy theories about the pew-pewing of Johnny. So that's going to be interesting, as well as the House of Yes, which is basically the reason I wanted to do this whole marathon, was to get a bunch of people to watch the House of Yes, because it is so messed up, but I love
Very
it.
different from JFK.
What's that? No, House of Yes is about JF. Well,
That's it. Oh, I thought it was like a comedy.
it is a very dark comedy. So the House of Yes is about like a Washington, D.C., not aristocratic, but like rich, privileged family that has an unhealthy obsession with the JFK assassination and with the Kennedys in general. And crazy things happen. Not to throw the word twincest out there, but crazy things happen.
Game of Thrones. All
Oh
right.
my God. That reminds me, Matt, you should go to Stratford and watch The Goat.
You mean Who is Sylvia?
I mean The Goat. Anyway, I can't wait to watch House of Yes.
House of Yes is, I adore it. And Lisa, whilst watching it, bear in mind that the play version was done for the Sears Festival when I was in grade 9 at Cothra. So when you see everything that happens, I saw it on stage.
No.
Played out by 17 and 18-year-olds.
I can't wait to have
Yeah.
that in mind.
Yep. They also did Streetcar Named Desire, which the older I get, the more I realize how inappropriate that was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, Cothra, good times. Anyway, it's that time of night, everyone. Tell the people who you are, what you do, and where we can find you. We'll start with Vince.
Yo, my name is Vince. You can follow me at Only Time Will Tell on TikTok. No, wait, sorry. The name of my show is Only Time Will Tell. You can follow me at Vinny Ridge Media.
Is that like Vimy Ridge?
Vinny Ridge with 2 N's instead of an M. It's a little inside joke for anyone who's familiar with Canadian military history. You know, you see, it all started with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which cascaded into World War I, following up to Canada's coming of age at the Battle of Vimy Ridge. We held it for a little while, and then we lost it. Maybe we took it back. I don't know. I got to brush up on it. Have an excellent night.
Hey, everyone. It's Lisa. You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa_A_alves. Or you can also take a look at my TikTok. I'm trying to do some book talk things at Lisa Alves Creations over there. I'm looking so forward to the JFK week next week because I have some of my favorite conspiracies about JFK that I will unload on all of you next time. See you then.
See you then, Lisa. And if you're watching, this is my channel. My name is Matt. I have 2 degrees. Thank you for joining us again for another week of the Presidential Movie Marathon. Whoop. Again, join us next week for JFK week, and just keep an eye on my channel because eventually I'll have a new video, but not very many people watched my Song of the South video, which is basically an hour-long documentary. That took a lot of time. So please, give it the watch time. You don't even have to pay attention. Just let it run in the background quietly while you do laundry, you know. Anyway, see you next week, everyone. Matt, 2 degrees, teacup for 1. How do you end this?